This episode is brought to you by Hasa. Liquid is clearly better. Liquid chlorine is the highest purity, works immediately, has no added cyanuric acid or calcium, and it will leave your pool safe, clean, and clear. And by the Bottom Feeder professional grade battery powered vacuum system. It sucks to clean pools, so cleaning pools sucks less. Get $100 off with code DVB100.
This episode is brought to you by Skimmer, the #1 pool service software in North America. With Skimmer, you can streamline your schedule, grow your revenue, and keep your customers coming back with 5-star service. Whether you're a one-person operation or an established team, Skimmer is your partner in success. Visit getskimmer.com/poolguy to try Skimmer for free for 30 days.
The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show.
Hi, welcome to the Best of the Pool Guy Podcast Show. In this episode, I'll be joined by Fred Schweer, and he'll go over some strategies to sell the PoolRx Plus. These sales strategies are highly effective, and if you're thinking about adding the PoolRx to your pool route, this is a great way to address it and to communicate the benefits of it to your customers. Are you a pool service pro looking to take your business to the next level? Join the Pool Guy Coaching Program. Get expert advice, business tips, exclusive content, and get direct support from me. I'm a 35-year veteran in the industry. Whether you're starting out or scaling up, I've got the tools to help you succeed. Learn more at swimmingpoollearning.com. And so the pool pro wants to sell these to their customer, and most will pass on the cost of these. Even though they save money on chlorine, it's always better for your bottom line to pass the cost of these on to your customers. A few guys I know absorb the cost because they're so effective. But for the majority of pool pros, we'd like to pass everything on to the customer. It's just better for us. So what are some of the best, you mentioned some of the things about for the pool pro to save on. What are some good tactics?
Sure. So, I kind of call it the good, better, best scenario. The good is you buy the product from distribution on sale during our spring promotions. You buy them in 4-packs and you're going to get a very discounted price during the promotion. And then you just pass that along to you don't even sell it to your customers. You just put it in the pool. And like we talked about, we're saving on all those chemicals on the back end and all the time. The better is to buy that from distribution, pass along the cost of the product right to your customer. You're selling it to your customer once a year and you're saying, hey, this is, your PoolRx. I know your chemicals are included with our service, but we're going to charge you, a one-time a year fee for this product. It's going to keep you algae free and you're going to be able to swim in a clearer pool all year. The third, the best would be to buy it from distribution and then charge a markup. If you're shopping this, on Amazon, or if you're shopping this on, online or your local retailer, there's probably there's a $20-$30 difference between what you're buying it from distribution at and what your customer can buy it from somewhere else. You can charge that markup. You make that $20-$30 a unit. And that money goes to the cost of your chlorine or your, or whatever you have to use. So again, that's the best. So the good, better, best scenario is real. And we have customers across the country that use each one of those scenarios. Now, as far as how to sell it to your customer, what I'm going to do, David, we have 3 or 4 pre-written offer letters. And these are they're just in a Word document. They're pre-written. They're customizable. You can put your own logo for your service company on the page. You can change the wording if you don't like it exactly how it's said. You can change the price point, and you can put it from your company. And what I want to do for your group, I'm going to email those letters to you, David, and then you can you can then maybe get those out to your people as if they're interested in that. But that's a great way, and we introduce it a couple different ways. We make it as an offer where we're wording it as, hey, we recommend this. If you're interested, it's going to be this much. Please let us know. We also introduce it as this is mandatory. Hey, as your pool service provider, we are going to charge you for this amount. This is going to be on your next bill, and this is how much it's going to cost. And we also have them, written for salt pool customers as well as regular chlorine customers. So we have a few different options, and you can kind of mix and match. And once you read these, you're going to be able to make it your own and put it in your own wording. But the value of these letters is that you can customize them, save them, and email them to your customers, or print them out and actually hand them to your customers, or put them in the billing if they're still doing the hard copy billing. So it's a great way to introduce PoolRx to every customer on your route. And as you know, David, some folks, a lot of pool service pros are actually, making this a mandatory product that goes in every year. And so once you get them trying it, and once they pay for it and they understand the program, and once it gets in the water, the customer feedback you're going to get is going to be, it's sterling. They're going to be so happy of what the water looks like and feels like after a PoolRx, that it's going to be a very easy thing to sell to your customers every year moving forward.
And you mentioned saltwater generator customers. Saltwater systems are becoming more popular. Of course, since chemicals are so expensive, it makes some sense in a way to upgrade the salt. And the sell point for a salt pool, you want to go over some of the sell points for that?
Sure. Yeah. Again, with salt pools, number one, our chelation is so strong that it's going to be protected even in the high pH environment of a salt pool. So it's safe to use there. Number two, like I mentioned, we are going to reduce your chlorine demand. So you're going to be able to turn down that salt chlorine generator typically by about 50% of its previous setting. And by doing that, you're going to be producing less high pH chlorine. And because of that, your pH in your water is not going to be going up as quickly. So you're not going to be having to use as much acid to balance that pH. Another benefit, so you're going to be saving on your acid demand. The other thing about our product, there is some zinc in the product, which does several things for us in the formulation when it comes to the chemistry. But another benefit of that zinc is that it acts as kind of a natural descaler. It doesn't allow the scale from attaching to surfaces as easily. We don't sell it as a descaling product, but the chemistry behind the zinc is that it is going to prevent the scale from attaching as easily. The zinc is not in the alloy cylinder that's in the unit. The zinc's actually in the mineral formulation that's in the water. And so you're not going to have to clean your salt cellars frequently. Obviously, if you're not producing as much and you're not having to clean it as frequently, you're going to basically, prolong the life of that equipment, which benefits your customer. Another benefit there. So yeah, it's fantastic for salt pools and very, very common for use in those pools.
Yeah. So to summarize, if your pool looks great, PoolRx will save you on chemicals. If your pool has algae, you can help remove the algae with it, and then also make the pool look great afterwards. And then, of course, if you have a saltwater pool, there's benefits by reducing the salt output, saving on the salt cell life, and the side effects of that whole chlorine production with the salt system.
Correct. Absolutely. All good benefits. Yeah. One more note regarding algae. We can eliminate all types of algae. So we're talking yellow, green, black, and I mean, there's thousands of types, right? So we're not, we can kill and prevent them all. Even black algae. Black algae is obviously the hardest to kill and prevent, but we can kill and prevent that as well. It may take the longest to kill. It could take a few weeks. The good news is once it's gone and you continue to use PoolRx as advertised, it won't come back. So that's another big benefit we get. That's one of the questions we get a lot of as far as black algae goes in certain markets, especially back east. But yeah, I just want to make sure that people were aware of that.
And the Pool Guy Podcast Show has teamed up with UPA to bring you affordable, reliable liability insurance starting at just $64 a month. Get up to $2 million in coverage, and the members of my coaching group get an even lower rate. Protect your business and your peace of mind. Sign up with UPA today by clicking the link in the podcast description. And I guess we should close this section by also mentioning that once you have the PoolRx unit, you're going to save the free chlorine is going to be more active in the pool. And so you have to reduce the amount of chlorine you're putting in. You can't put a PoolRx unit in and keep putting in, let's say you're putting in 3 trichlor tablets a week. You can't keep that same ratio because then you're over chlorinating that pool. And in the cases like we're using a saltwater generator, you have to turn it down also. So we should emphasize that point.
Yeah, I can speak to that. So one thing is, so we say we only need 0.5 to 1 part per million of free chlorine. We can be higher. You can be higher than that, right? If you're only going there once a week and you're under a tough condition pool, heavy bather load, heavy, debris, lots of use, and you want to be at a target part per million higher than that, you can be as high of a free chlorine reading as you want. It will not affect our minerals due to the chelation. So, I mean, again, we are NSF 50 certified, which is, it's a commercial standard. So we can be in commercial public water. Whereas, in a lot of those scenarios, you have to, in some cases, depending on, the scenario, you have to jack those chlorine levels up if there was a, contamination or something in the water. So the point being, guys, is you're going to be able to get away with using less chlorine. So it's going to be easier to hit whatever target part per million you want to hit. That's the key. The second part is, if you're not going to hurt our minerals at a higher chlorine level. It's just not necessary. You might as well save yourself the money on that instead of overdosing these pools, to try to make them work as efficiently as you can. So is that the point you're getting to, David?
Yep. That's what I wanted to make sure people got clarified, that they're not going to be adding the same amount of chlorine after the PoolRx. You're going to reduce that level.
Correct.
Okay, and let's switch gears a little bit. And these are common questions I get asked throughout the year with PoolRx. And I'll start with the first one that I get asked at least once or twice a month. And that is, why do I have to buy a new unit every season? Why can't I just use the one that I have there and add a booster? And maybe go into that and close the door on this one.
Yeah, great question. Like I mentioned earlier, the three things that set us apart is our formulation, the chelation, and then the way that the minerals are reacting with our specially treated alloy cylinder inside the unit. That ion exchange between the alloy and the minerals in the water is important to our success and the longevity of the minerals in the water. Over time, the PoolRx unit, that alloy gets scaled and it loses its connectivity with the minerals in the water over time. That unit is effective in reionizing or rejuvenating minerals in the water for about 12 months. And so what we tell you is, look, start with a new unit at the beginning of each season. And if you need to add a booster later in the season, go ahead and do that. And then the following year, start with a new unit. What you're going to find is that, people have always come, they always try to put it in that second year and then just buy the booster minerals. And they call and they're disappointed because the minerals by themselves, the booster minerals by themselves, or with an old unit, will last about 4 to 5 weeks. And so what happens that second year is they put the empty old unit in there, they add a booster, and they have good, great success for about a month or so. And then they're already noticing chlorine demands going back up. They're noticing the water's not looking good. And so they're having to add another booster. And so it's not cost effective to try to get that second year out of the unit and just add boosters, because really after 2 boosters, that's the price of a unit. So instead of a brand new unit getting you about 6 months, the boosters you're paying for at the same price are getting you 2 months. So that's really the science behind it and the reason why. But yeah, that's a common question, and it's only going to take you one time to try that on your own and realize that I'm telling the truth on that.
Yeah. So since you mentioned the booster a couple times there, why don't we talk about the booster? And you mentioned, in the other segment, why you can use it for sizing if you want to go up in size. You can use it when the minerals are wearing out. So let's just focus on the booster a little bit and when you should use one. And you mentioned you can pretty much tell when it's needed, right?
Yeah. So the booster is the same mineral that's in the original units. Like I mentioned earlier, the blue unit has 8 ounces of mineral, and the blue booster has 8 ounces, the black 12 ounces, and the black booster 12 ounces. And again, the minerals the minerals in the original unit, which I didn't mention this, when you buy a new PoolRx unit, whatever size, you want to start with a clean filter. You want to drop it in the skimmer or the pump basket, and you want to make sure you run the pump long enough for all those minerals to dissolve. In this day and age, everyone's mostly on variable speed pumps, and so the pump is running slower, longer, which is great. But the minerals dissolve immediately and completely out of the PoolRx unit. It does not dissolve over 6 months. It does not dissolve like a chlorine tablet. It dissolves immediately into the water, forming a stable residual. And then as the water flows back over that empty alloy, there's a reionization of the minerals in the water that allow them to last longer. The minerals in the water are what's killing and preventing the algae. The unit is what's recharging the minerals in the water. So over time, like I mentioned, the alloy loses its connectivity, and that's why you need to start with a new unit. The reason for the booster is when the minerals get used up and filtered out, the mineral concentration in the water is reduced, And that's when algae can start growing again. And that's why you would add a booster when needed. And so and also to your point, David, it's also for larger bodies of water. So if you have, a 40,000 gallon pool, I would go with a black unit and a blue booster, and so you can kind of mix and match based on your needs on what sizing you're dealing with. And then when you do boost a pool, you boost it based on the gallons of the pool again. So it's not, hey, I have a 60,000 gallon pool and I only use one booster. No, you're going to need to add 2 black boosters for that. The black booster maxes out at 30,000 gallons. You're going to need to add 2 of those black boosters when you do it. So yeah, the boosters for, larger bodies of water or longer seasons, tough conditions, or whenever you really need minerals to be increased in the water.
We can also mention when you're doing a green pool cleanup that you may need a booster sooner than later if you're using the PoolRx in a really pool full of algae.
Yeah, correct. And that's to the point of that is, the minerals do get used up killing algae. And so people say, well, do I need to clear this pool up before I use PoolRx? And the answer is no. We're going to be able to clear up your green pool because a lot faster and easier and less expensive than you would with any other solution, because our minerals, they're like 1,000 times more effective in eliminating algae compared to chlorine. So the minerals are going to be doing the heavy lifting for you when you're clearing up a green pool. But to your point, David, some of the minerals get used up killing the algae and they get filtered out. And so, yes, you will need a booster sooner, than the typical 4 to 6 months on a regular PoolRx because of those factors.
And if you're looking for more podcasts, you can find those by going to my website, swimmingpoollearning.com. On the banner, there's a podcast icon. Click on that, and over 1,900 podcasts will be available for you to listen to at your leisure. And if you're interested in the coaching program that I offer, you can learn more at poolguycoaching.com. Have a great rest of your week, and God bless. This episode is brought to you by HASA, providing products that deliver clean, healthy water for every aspect of everyday life. The bottom feeder battery-powered vacuum system, portable, powerful, and only weighs 12 pounds. And Skimmer. Get Skimmer, America's #1 pool service software. Podcast listeners can try Skimmer for free at getskimmer.com/poolguy.